We are made complete by serving others. So this week is lesson number 10 in Acts, the Third Missionary Journey. The texts that we're covering are the end of chapter 18, 19, 20, and the beginning of 21. So that's kind of the sequence of what we're covering. The memory text was from chapter 20, 24. I do not count my life of any value to myself, if only I may finish my course in the ministry that I received from Lord Jesus, to testify to the good news of God's grace. That last phrase, to testify the good news of God's grace, is basically what it's all about. Tim last week asked a question, and I wanted to ask the reverse of that question. And he said, why did Paul go out and evangelize? What was it? What was it to the benefit of those going out? Why did he do it? And we kind of came to he kind of directed our thoughts to the fact that it helped those who were hurting, those who were sin-filled, become healed and become new and restored. My question is just the opposite. What was it in it for Paul? Why did Paul have to go out and do this?
Probably help him feel better about the crimes that he committed that he didn't realize were crimes.
Soothe his conscience.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not so much soothe his conscience, just make him redeem himself.
Well, the memory text almost says it. He counts his own life of no value. He's living to serve God and to share God with others. I mean, some people are more driven than others. Apparently his personality was such that he was compulsive with this, that he felt he had to do it.
Okay. Did he get any other benefits from this?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Like what? What's the benefit from someone working as an emissary for God?
Seeing others accept Christ in their life. That's it.
So that makes you feel good that you have been able to share or whatever.
Well, it's the same benefit as standing up here teaching. You learn when Wendell or I or Tim or Linda or anyone else has to teach, we learn the material better.
That's very true.
So I would dare say that as Paul shared his personal experience of conversion and the change in his character and his testimony, he was enlightened, greater enlightenment of God's character, his grace, his message, his sacrifice, etc., etc.
And that's why God has asked us to be a part of this whole process, because he knows that if we're sharing something that we have learned, it's going to change us.
Correct.
Okay? Because the teacher learns the most.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about in this class about natural law, how we're made, what makes us tick and what makes us whole. We are made complete by serving others. Okay? And so yes, Paul did this because it was to the benefit of the recipients, okay? But this also made him, he would not have been a complete person. You are not complete unless you're serving others. And Tim's talked about the circle of life and other illustrations of this. But this really was for Paul's benefit as well as for his hearers' benefit, because that's how we are. That's the law. The world has a template that says self is number one, books are written, look out for number one, etc. And it's all self, self, self. And that is degrading, that is death. We don't realize it at the time, but it is often. We don't realize it. But God's kingdom, the whole being, the principle and the law of the design is that it's for others. God, that's how God is, And in Matthew 20, it's interesting that, Acts 20 we're covering, but Matthew 20, A mother of 2 disciples, okay, and I have to remember, you had to remember something. I can't remember names, okay, so don't ask me the name of a disciple, okay? But anyway, this woman came to Christ and said, my 2 boys, I want to be number 1, you know? And,
That's
James and John.
good. Okay, so I couldn't find it quickly, and so I was like, whatever, it's not there. So anyway, so she came to them and said, hey, you know, my 2 boys should be number 1, you know? And Christ's response to that, okay, the disciples were all upset, you know, and said, hey, you know, this is not right, you know, we should be number 1 or whatever. And Matthew 20, 25 through 28, so Jesus called them all together and said, you know that the rulers of the heathen have power over their subjects, and the leaders have complete authority. This, however, is not the way it shall be among you. If one of you wants to be great, you must be the servant of the rest. And if one of you wants to be first, you must be the slave of the others. Like the Son of Man, who did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life to redeem many people. You know, you could say this another way. The one who wants to be complete or mature or perfect, however you describe a being that is really what they're supposed to be, you need to be a servant. So I just, you know, last week we looked at the front side of that. I think we also need to look at the back side of that, because what is in it for us? It makes us complete.